$6,056.52 for a total of $473,520.85.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Do we have any discussion?
I do not.
No? Then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. And then is there any further business?
No, ma'am, there is no further business for you.
Okay, then meeting adjourned.
I now call the July 17th, 2018 regular meeting of the Riverton City Council to order at 7 p.m. Would Councilmember Gibbon lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and after that, an invocation will be offered by Mike Bailey.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dearest Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us here together as a city council. And thank you for the many blessings that we enjoy living in this wonderful city and this wonderful state. Please bless us in all that we do here tonight, that we may guide the city in the direction that they would like. Please bless all of those that support us and all of those that defend us in the police department and the military. We ask that you keep them all safe in all that they do. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Would the city clerk please conduct a roll call?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Lance Scody.
Here.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Here.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Here.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Here.
Councilwoman Holly Gibbon.
Here.
Mayor John Baker.
I am present. The chair would entertain a motion to excuse Sean Peterson this evening.
Motion to excuse Sean Peterson.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes, and I declare that we do have a quorum. The chair would entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion on the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. Communications from the floor. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council regarding an item that's already on the agenda will be given an opportunity to speak later on. I would ask those individuals who wish to address the council at this time to approach the podium. Don't look like we have anybody here to speak.
Yes, we do.
Oh, we do? Okay, all right.
Take off my community development director hat.
Okay,
The rendezvous hat.
rendezvous hat, all right, okay.
I am Eric Carr, chairman of the rendezvous committee. This is my wife, Tara, vice president of the rendezvous committee. And we're just days away. It's this Friday, starting with Media Day on Friday, and then at 5:45 a.m. Saturday, we'll start with the sponsored balloons. We've got 19 this year, which is pretty good considering that Casper's event got moved to the same weekend we've had for the last 38 years. So I thought we filled out a pretty good field. We've got actually 4 balloonists from Canada this year, which is a pretty neat opportunity to see some of those. You want to talk about our sponsors?
I wasn't prepared to speak. You're a much better mouthpiece than I am. What I would like to talk about, though, is we have a very small committee of 7 people. And we would hope that people would be encouraged to come and check it out and see what it's about, because we get so much fulfillment with doing things in the community, especially the rendezvous. It's one of Eric's favorite things to do, but it's very difficult to do all the pieces with 7 people that are volunteers. And so if you guys want to encourage people to get involved, this is a really easy way. We make it easy. It's pretty organized. Whatever they want to do, we will take whatever they want to do. We're not going to appoint them to something. We're not going to, make them vice president or anything like that. We just want people to come and see what it's about to volunteer in a small way. And that's I guess that's all I have to say. And I am very grateful for all of our sponsors, because I was in a meeting this morning or this afternoon, and I was incredibly impressed with the turnout. And there's a great many people in this community that care very much. And sometimes I just don't think they realize how many things they can get involved in that might be appealing to them. And this is for the kids and the community, and it's always a big event in this town. So thank you.
So again, thank you to our major sponsors, Devon Energy, Pepsi, AmeriGas, Channel 13 News, and the Wind River Visitors Council. We couldn't do it, obviously, without their support. And then the individual support of the sponsors that we have for every balloonist that we have. So just a quick overview. You guys are definitely invited as celebrities for Media Day if you would like to attend and maybe be able to have the opportunity to get up in the air. Friday at 5:45 a.m., the best time in the morning. Is a great opportunity to do that. And then Saturday, again, starting at 5:45, Kiwanis will be down serving breakfast again, and we'll have tethered balloon rides for the kids on both Saturday and Sunday. So please come and enjoy and see all the colors. It's one of my favorite times of year.
And just one more thing, if any of you want to be a judge for the sandwich contest, which is Saturday right after they fly, we would love and be honored if any of you could make it. Just, it's a very short amount of time in
At
your day.
about 10 o'clock,
Yeah,
we
10-ish.
definitely always need judges for the sandwich making competition, so. And that will be held at the Fire Training Center. Thank you. We'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
The balloon liftoff, that will be up at CWC?
Correct, at the CWC soccer fields, which is on the north side of campus, just off of Moorfield Drive. It is, please be aware, they have fenced that now, but you can get in through the dormitory access point.
Okay. Will there be donuts or sweets at that time of the morning to get the people awake?
We have some for the pilots, but you can get a Kiwanis breakfast and coffee for a small donation.
And whereabouts is the Kiwanis breakfast?
They'll be located on the southeast corner of the field, and usually the smell of frying sausage draws people pretty close. So.
Very good.
It's usually right in the parking lot next to the RREC building there.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And if you don't want food that's cooked by me, then don't.
Are you going to be cooking?
Councilman Hancock will definitely be there serving up some flapjacks.
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay, so did you get somebody that said they're going to come judge sandwiches?
Not yet, not at this time.
Nobody's.
That'd be this Saturday.
This Saturday at about 10 to 11, somewhere in there, depending on obviously when the balloons land.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I missed last year, and I really wanted to, because anything where you judge food, that's a good
And
deal.
I'm here to tell you, they get incredibly creative. We've had Devil's Tower made, we've had the map of Wyoming made with pepperonis and
I'll do it.
sausage.
Saturday,
Thank
10
you.
o'clock,
Saturday, 10 o'clock,
over near the
at the Fire Training Center.
Fire Training Center. Okay. I'll be there.
Across the road.
I'll be ready to eat.
Right next door to High Mountain Seasonings, who was also gracious enough to give us
yes.
some gifts this year for the
So
pilots.
gracious. Such a giving community. Thank you.
You can do it.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. All right. Consent agenda. Would the city clerk please read the consent agenda items by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Approval of the minutes, July 10, 2018, regular council meeting. Approval of the minutes, July 17, 2018, Finance Committee meeting. Approval of the Finance Committee recommendations for July 17, 2018. Approval of the municipal court report for the month of June 2018. An open container permit application for the Boot Bar for a street dance on July 20th, 2018 at 702 East Main Street from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. And another open container permit for Deanna Powell for a benefit volleyball and cornhole tournament on July 28, 2018 at the softball fields from 7 a.m. to 11:30 p.m.
Thank you. Are there any items that need further discussion?
Your Honor,
Go ahead.
the Finance Committee recommendations for claims to be paid in the amount of $199,255.43. Alon credit card in the amount of $2,186,000. and 8 cents manual checks in the amount of $53,192.82. Payroll liability for 7/5 of 18 in the amount of $218,886.52, for a total of $473,520.85.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion.
Your Honor, I would make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on consent? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. Mayor's proclamation on general aviation. So we do this on kind of an annual basis, whereas the city of Riverton in the state of Wyoming has a significant interest in the continued vitality of general aviation, aircraft manufacturing, aviation educational institutions, aviation organizations, and community airports. And whereas general aviation and the Riverton Regional Airport have an immense economic impact on Riverton, and whereas general aviation not only supports Wyoming's economy, it improves overall quality of life by supporting emergency medical and health care services, law enforcement, firefighting, and disaster relief, and by transporting business travelers to their destinations quickly and safely. And whereas the nation's aviation infrastructure represents an important public benefit. Now, therefore, I, John L. Baker, Mayor of the City of Riverton, do hereby proclaim general aviation a vital strategic resource to the City of Riverton and declare July as General Aviation Appreciation Month. Okay, and the next item on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration of ordinance 18-008, first reading, off-street parking. Community Development Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. So at the June 12th meeting, we did go over through work session the theories behind the off-street parking guidelines that I have proposed tonight. This started at the beginning of the year, again, with some parking issues that we had up on West Main Street, I'm sorry. And through that process, it became evident that this might be a good direction to go. And as you can see in front of you, this is a collaborative effort through several regulations that I've seen and through the research that I've done. And it's an extensive document that I think would be well suited as we move towards a potential City of Riverton standard construction specifications as well. I think we've probably beat this horse to death, but I would be happy to stand for any questions that you have with the document in front of you.
Okay, thank you. Would the city clerk please read ordinance 18-008 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 18-008 on first reading. An ordinance amending Title 15, Buildings and Construction, to revise Chapter 15.36, off-street parking requirements of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we open public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and I declare the public hearing to be open. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes with other applicable laws. I would ask those individuals wishing to address the council to approach the podium and identify yourselves for the record.
Seeing none, Your Honor, I would move to close public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we close the public hearing. Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I vote to close the public hearing and declare it now to be closed. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 18-008 on first reading.
Your Honor, I would move that we approve 18-008 on first reading.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Mike?
Your Honor, and I guess probably for the Community Development Director to start with. So did we tailor these after some existing regulations from another town, or I guess I'm wondering where we come up with some of this stuff?
Your Honor, that is correct. Through a lot of the research, there's not a lot out there other than with the American Parking Association, the APA, and then also through various cities and towns that have been promoted on a Strong Towns website that have moved to parking maximums. And so this is somewhat of an amalgamation between those various sources. Branson, Missouri, San Antonio, Texas, and parts of Casper's ordinance as well. So, yes.
And I guess I apologize. My plan was to print this out and highlight the areas that I had questions, and of course, it's a fairly lengthy document. But I guess to me, I have a little bit of an issue that we don't get too, and I don't have the appropriate term, but greeny would be one of them that comes to me. I noticed in there, it says you can only have 2 lanes of parking in front of the building, for example, and it has to have green spaces built into it. And to me, looking at it as a business, if we start creating parking areas that are so chopped up with green areas and all that kind of stuff, it makes them very difficult to plow. You know, you're very restricted. You can't go in later and change the parking sizes because you've already poured concrete and have trees and bushes and grass and all that in between. And so I guess, I don't know if we need to go that stringent. I'm not saying I'm against that if that's what somebody wants to do, but I don't know if we should make that a mandatory requirement. I like the idea you've gone to with a maximum amount of spaces that you need for a square footage as opposed to a minimum. As you gave us a good demonstration here the other day about how much of the parking lots go unused and how we probably have a lot of extra parking and it doesn't really generate any revenue because we get property tax on buildings, not on parking lots. And so, I mean, all of that makes a ton of sense. But I think we may have gone a little bit too far, in my opinion. And I guess, do we want mandatory bike parking? It's one of the other things I saw in there. And again, I don't have a problem with people putting bike parking in, but I don't know if we want to make it mandatory. I think sometimes we get a little bit too far down that road. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. And I apologize I didn't give you some specifics, but reading through it, that was my first impression, is we sort of went a little bit too far maybe with some of the frills.
Your Honor.
Go ahead, Tim.
And I think a little bit going along with what Mr. Bailey was saying, one of the strengths that I saw in this as an idea is making it easier for businesses to come in and set up in the community. We had talked about, for example, that businesses might, due to parking requirements based on the line of work that they're in, might have restrictions in terms of having to provide more parking spots. We talked about that, for example, just recently with the ironworks in terms of them wanting a variance in the parking spots. And I think that was definitely a strength with some of what we talked about, but I guess some of the requirements in terms of landscaping doesn't quite go along with that, I guess. I don't disagree with the idea of it. I mean, there's the old song, pave paradise and put up a parking lot, right? You don't really want to do that. You want to still be able to have things look nice. But it's not that old, I guess. But anyway.
Careful.
But, just the idea of it is, I think it could, how onerous do you think these are, I guess, would be my question for you.
Your Honor, thank you. As part of the regulations as presented, there is a fair bit of beautification in there as well. If you would like, we can, I can definitely revisit that to maybe separate beautification from parking regulations. As far as and I'll address Councilman Bailey's question regarding the parking islands, yes, those do, and from an engineering standpoint, they make it very, very difficult to maintain your parking lots. And so what I was trying to go for was the periphery of the parking areas, as well as shared spaces. But I can definitely revisit that at your direction.
And again, I did not read it thoroughly enough and be able to really go in and dissect it, so that may be what you said, but when I first read it, my impression was just like, oh, I was just up at CWC today, and they've got some of that in their parking, and my truck's bigger than normal, and it almost makes it to the point where you almost can't get into some of the parking spaces because they've got it so curbed up, and trees and bushes, and, you know, the spaces aren't big enough for full-size Wyoming vehicles, and some of that, so.
Full-size Wyoming vehicles.
Just
I like
imagine
that word.
snow removal, Mike.
And that was the other thing, yeah. As a business, the snow removal would quadruple the amount of work you had to do.
Yeah,
If you've got, you know, the islands with grass in between every row of cars kind of a thing.
Your Honor.
I don't have a problem with the peripheral stuff. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
I know that it's nice, it's beautiful. Salt Lake City has it, and I see it in a lot of places. But Salt Lake City does not have snow that comes and stays till May. It melts. And in my snow removal, just the additional handicap removal of snow is very difficult to get either a snowplow, a hand-motivated snow blower, or a shovel on it because it's anti-slip. And so you almost vault into Main Street. So, you know, all of these nice things are really beautiful, but they're not the ones maintaining that parking lot to customers in the wintertime that need it snow removed. So I think we need some temperance, that's all.
Your Honor, I can address a little bit of that as well. In these regulations, it also calls for portions of some parking lots, depending on size, to be porous friction courses, which helps with snow removal. The water can melt off and seep into the pavement and then run off.
I've seen ads for that. I just wonder how that holds up to a plow. Snow plow. You know, if you were trying to push snow off of that, is it soft? And are you gonna tear it up?
No, Your Honor, thank you. So the FAA uses porous friction cores quite a bit on airport safety exits or runway safety extensions, and it's a wonderful product. It's a pretty easily producible porous friction course is what PFC is what they call it, and their snow plows run up and down it every day, and it's pretty interesting to watch. As rain and snow hits the pavement, you don't see the sheet flow over the pavement, you see it on the edge of the pavement or into some receptacle, the drainage receptacle.
And how does the cost of that compare to the concrete?
So porous friction course is generally an asphaltic concrete product. They do make porous concretes, but the difference between those costs is generally fairly significant between concrete versus asphaltic concrete.
So we'd be asking people to spend more money per square foot.
If it was, so if they chose to do the concrete, the porous concrete, then it would be more, but the porous friction course, the asphaltic concrete, is not much more,
Not much more.
if it at all more. And it's not usually. Thank you. I haven't looked at bid tabs for a long time on porous friction course, so.
Okay, is it, so, council, are you, do you want to move ahead on this and talk about some of these changes in second reading? Or do you want to table this and bring it back for another look? Before we, what do you want to just run the process?
Myself, I'd like to table it and get another look at it.
I'd
Okay.
second that.
Yes. Okay, so we have a motion to table, a second. All right. So all in favor of tabling this at the present time?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye. Okay, so we'll table this. We'll look at it again next week, huh? Give everybody a chance to read through and read 2 weeks,
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Correct.
Our next meeting,
Yes.
our next meeting.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, good, thank you.
If anyone has specific items that they would like to address, feel free to email me, and I can definitely address that through the next several weeks.
Okay, I guess something that I'd appreciate seeing is, I guess I could look that up. I didn't go there, but maybe a comparison to what we have right now in the way of parking. It probably isn't much, right?
It's actually very similar.
Is it?
The difference being they're not required to put that many places or parking spaces in. They could elect to do fewer. So under these guidelines, Walmart's parking lot could look exactly the same as it looks today, or very, very close, but they wouldn't have to provide that many.
Okay.
Under the minimum structure, they have to provide that many. But under the maximum, they can decide how many do we really need.
Sure, sure. I think we all like that idea.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Ordinance number 18-009, third and final reading, fencing. Would the city clerk please read ordinance number 18-009 by title only?
Yes, Your Honor. Proposed ordinance number 18-009 on third and final reading. An ordinance amending Title 17 zoning, revised Chapter 17.16 general requirements, Section 17.16.050 fences, hedges, trees, and walls of the Riverton Municipal Code, and repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 18-009 on third and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Would the city clerk please conduct a roll call vote?
Yes, Your Honor. Councilman Lance Godey.
Aye.
Councilman Tim Hancock.
Aye.
Councilman Mike Bailey.
Aye.
Councilman Kyle Larson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Holly Gibbon.
Aye.
Mayor John Baker.
I vote yes, and the motion passes. Resolution 1378, fencing guidelines. Community Development Director's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. The resolution that you have before you would adopt the changing of the ordinance, our current fencing ordinance, and adopting the guidelines that have been presented. What this will do is allow for modification of the fencing guidelines through resolution rather than 3 readings and a hearing at council. Again, this is in an effort to start or begin consolidating a larger document of guidelines for the city for construction practices and building as we move forward.
Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to approve Resolution 1378.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. No discussion. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye, and the motion passes. The next item is to declare a vacancy in Ward 2. City Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Unfortunately, today, we have before you the resignation of Councilwoman Gibbon. That was announced at the last meeting. There was no action taken at that time pursuant to our code. The next steps would be for council to accept it would be nice to have it formally accepted, and then for council to declare a vacancy. Staff is recommending that at that point, we would be directed by you through this motion to advertise for 2 weeks and then put those items in packets, and then on the 7th or the first meeting in August for council to conduct interviews of those applicants as you had in the past. We would, of course, with that timeline, be able to consolidate everything, put it in a packet for your review as is per the norm. So in short, we would recommend that council first formally accept the resignation of Councilwoman Gibbon, and second, declare a vacancy and direct staff to advertise for the position for 2 weeks with applications or letters of interest actually due on August 1st by noon. We would stand for any questions.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to accept Holly's resignation.
Your Honor, I move that we accept the resignation of Councilwoman Gibbon. Wow, that was weird.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'd like to vote no.
You'd like to vote now?
You can.
Down here with me.
We have a sergeant of arm and a chain.
That's right. So we got something that you could hang on your wall,
Awesome.
okay? And remember us by,
Okay,
all right?
thank you so much.
Okay, we thank you for your service. You have done a really terrific job on a number of very difficult issues. Thank you very much.
I wasn't supposed to do this.
Okay, I would,
We still need to address the, I guess, the
Declare the-
timeline and everything, and we also still need to declare the vacancy.
yes, yes,
That's what.
I'm winding up to do that. Okay?
I'll let you go.
All right. The chair would entertain a motion to declare a vacancy on the city council from Ward 2. And we need to direct the staff to advertise that vacancy for a period of 2 weeks and prepare an opportunity for people to submit letters of interest and set up a schedule whereby we could interview people and fill that vacancy.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Did we get enough information in
I
that?
want to clarify the 2 weeks versus August 1st, because
That would be our only question, Your Honor, is the proposed August 1st noon deadline appropriate for you?
Sure, I think that makes 2 weeks if you do it tomorrow, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And that,
I don't know if it had to be from today versus,
oh,
Amended to say August 1st at noon.
August 1st at noon. When is the, I have to check my calendar, I'm sorry.
That won't be 2 weeks after 2 weeks.
As long as that gives us 2 weeks.
Just over 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it looks to me like August 1st is 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Correct.
So I guess I would second the amendment. The date that this will be closing, I guess, would be August 1st at noon then.
Okay, all right. And then do we anticipate having interviews on the 7th of August?
Your Honor, yes, that is our recommendation, if that is, works for everyone.
Okay. So moved and seconded. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mayor votes aye. Motion passes. Council committee reports and council members roundtable. Have you got anything for us? Last words, Ms. Gibbon?
I don't. I just want to tell you guys all thank you so much again. And it's been a complete honor to be able to serve. So thank you so much.
Okay. Kyle, have you got anything for us tonight?
Other than I see that the hospital is putting its best foot forward, trying to move ahead, and under the difficulties which they're existing, they're persevering, and hopefully we will see better results. Second thing I have, I gave to Kyle this afternoon was some of our employees, not that we pay, but that pay us, some of the roads that they are, like East View and what was the other one, Kyle? Fremont?
Your Honor, the Councilman, the email you gave me was on Fremont.
Fremont. They're pretty rough, and summertime always leads to short tempers and, scrape bottoms on cars. And so I would ask that, if possible, we would be able to supervise and move them along if possible. Thank you. Your truck would do okay, but my cars just have fits getting up there.
Okay, Mike?
Yes, again, I had the pleasure today of attending the meeting that the Wyoming, forget which department exactly, but basically they are looking at different sites for the veterans home for the state of Wyoming. And we had a huge turnout, filled the room to the brim with people that had good things to say about Riverton and the chance that we have to maybe have that facility get put in Riverton. And so I think I was very impressed by the amount of people that showed up and the good compliments and all of that. So I think, again, looking forward to that process. Also, Holly, I've known you for a very long time. I don't know if you all know, but Holly worked for me when she was a teenager down at my tire shop. And so it's been very impressive to watch the amazing, I'll say young lady still, that you have become. When we voted to put you on city council, I can't tell you that I didn't have some doubts, but you have raised to above and beyond, I think, everyone's expectations. Done an amazing job. Like the mayor said, took on some situations that most people would have run away from, and you did them very well and did us proud. So good luck in where you're going, and we wish you the best.
Thank you so much.
Tim?
I second Mike Bailey's comments. I don't have anything else to report, but I just would like to say from the time that I've been on council, I've very much enjoyed being able to serve with you, Holly, and you have been a very jovial presence. And I say that, and it sounds like maybe you'd make light of things, but that's not what I'm talking about. It's that when you've been doing the work in council, you've been able to do it even when it's been difficult with a smile on your face for the most part. And I'll say, that's one thing as I'm going forward on the council, and I'm not the newest guy anymore. but that I am going to take from you. You know, one thing that I'm going to remember, and one of the things I'm going to try to live up to that. So I appreciate all that you've done. So thank you.
Thank you.
Lance?
I also attended the meeting today for the State Veterans Home, and I really was impressed with our community's turnout. It was amazing how many people we could get in this room in support of that effort, and I really think we have a good chance, so crossing fingers. A couple things as well. Solutions Committee met last Thursday. We have moved forward with a new ordinance that involves the local liquor association members, and we are going to work on developing some feedback from them on this new ordinance. Be doing that over the next couple weeks, and looking forward to getting some feedback there. We also will then eventually bring that to council, move for bringing that forward to council, have a lot of great things in that area as well as a number of other areas. We are actively developing a strategic plan for the Solutions Committee and how to set some goals and how to achieve those goals. We additionally created a vision statement to kind of help guide us. We're also developing a mission statement currently, but the vision statement, if I may read that, is to create a sense of pride, a feeling of community, and to promote responsibility in Riverton. With our mission and our goals, we'll get deeper into the weeds. I know the vision statement purposefully is pretty broad and covers a very wide area, but that's what vision statements do. And with mission and strategic plan, we're going to get into the weeds. So stay tuned for that. And then the last thing I had, I was invited to attend a community collaborative discussion next Tuesday, facilitated by Mary Axthelm from RREC. There's representatives from the Central Wyoming Boys and Girls Club coming to discuss opportunities for youth initiatives in the county. And I know I'm not able to attend, but Tony had indicated that he will be attending. And if any other council members are able to attend, it is next Tuesday from 5 to 8:30 p.m. up at CWC's Fremont Room, which is in the Student Center. And, you know, if you have any special interest in definitely in the youth initiatives and partnering and trying to get as much as possible going on, that'd be a great thing to attend. And the last thing I have is I'm looking forward to not being the newest person on council, but I hate the way I'm getting to achieve that. And I've learned a ton, and losing my partner from Ward 2, but look forward to seeing you do great things elsewhere as well. So thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you. City Administrator's report?
Thank you, Your Honor. Without being redundant to everything that was said, on behalf of staff, Councilwoman Gibbon, thank you for all that you've done for us, the support, and especially, and for me in particular, being newer, all the information and the knowledge that you gave me when I came here. Thank you very much for your service. Your Honor, there's a handful of things, and then one significant item I wanted to bring to council's attention that may require some action on your part. A couple things being, the auditors are here this week, so they'll be here all week. Me and Kristen have been working with them pretty consistently. They have a lot of information they need to go through. They do it in relatively short order if you consider how much they do, but they will be here this week, or are here. Our FAA inspection was completed with only a couple minor suggestions. So that is passed, that we have passed that once again. I don't think there was ever really any doubt. But knowing personally how arduous those can be and how much they're prepared for. I would just commend staff for their good work on that and let you know that we're moving forward on that. I do not think there was anything of significance to note, so congratulations to our staff. There is an airport board meeting Friday at 8 a.m. here at City Hall, just as a reminder. And if I may use the projector real quick, and if it's okay, I'm just going to get up and move so I don't. Wait for it.
Sometimes it takes a minute. Oh, there you go. Oh, there we go.
Let's see. So today we had a really great showing with the VA skilled nursing facility discussion that was kind of helmed by MOA Architecture, which is contracted by the state to look at this facility and look at the feasibility of the facility in multiple locations. There are 8 communities currently being considered. We are one of those communities. The other ones include Casper, Cheyenne, Laramie, Buffalo, Sheridan, Lander, and Gillette. So a pretty decent pool. There were 13 originally, and now we made the top cut to 8. I would point out that is because of the work of Eric Carr, getting our name in there, putting a lot of this information together. So much appreciation to him for everything that he has done. With that being said, where we end up right now, and some of you were here for this, so it's not news, but we're on a little bit of a compressed time frame. We have 2 properties right now that the Reach Foundation is willing to donate to the effort. This is a pretty big deal. Other communities are also going to throw out donated property or put their best foot forward. We proposed both of these, sorry, is this broken? All right, wrong one. Both of these blue highlighted facilities, specifically this one right here and this one right here. Both of those are currently in the possession of the Reach Foundation, and we have spoken with them, and they have denoted to us that they are willing to donate those directly, free of charge, just to be clear. However, when we put this forward, and MOA Architecture has this item, what we found out just today was, well, the city needs to determine one property for us to consider. We have a lot of different communities to consider, a lot of different properties. We don't have that much time, et cetera. As such, it now falls to us, we found out by Friday, to actually say which facility or which property we want to use to put our best foot forward. Having found that out today, we spent some furious time this afternoon putting some analysis to it and looking at it a little bit. And of the 2 options, currently staff is recommending this property right here. There's a couple reasons. There's a number of reasons for that. Some of it has to do with the topography of this particular property compared to this one. This one is much flatter, if you will, doesn't require a lot of earthwork. You'll notice that the green being sewer and blue being water exist right near both of these facilities. There's a little bit of a jaunt, but not significant. So both of those exist. This one happens to be off of the beaten path a little bit more and away from some of the busier activities such as the school and the like, but is still close to our medical facilities, close to the current VA clinic and the like. As such, looking at the analysis briefly, we feel that this is the appropriate location. That being said, a lot of the conversation today had to do with how do we choose? There was the recommendation at one point that we get a 15-member committee and look at it that way. To be honest with you, we do not have that time. If they want it by Friday, we don't. However, looking at what we have in front of us, the important thing compared to some of the purchase properties and the like, or the reason that we looked at these properties specifically has a lot to do with some of the verbiage that came from the presenter, the
Colonel Steve Krasinski.
Steve Krasinski, some of the things he said when we discussed it was, what is the best thing that we can do for our veterans? And we agree with that wholeheartedly. The idea with looking at existing facilities such as were suggested today at one point being, well, what if you buy Kmart? Okay, well, that's $3.35 million of this grant money that isn't going to putting a specific facility together. You're buying land and property, and then you're retrofitting said property. But through the donation, and these are secured donations as far as we can at this point, it allows that additional money to be used on the actual facility, whether it be for expansion or improvement of the said facility. So knowing that we only have two, for lack of a better term, guaranteed facilities in front of us, we understood that we wanted to move forward with the short time frame with these two for your consideration. And present to you that we felt that the northern property was more desirable. I understand there's probably a handful of questions here, and we can get into that. Eric can get into that a little bit more. But at this point, there are a couple options. One is that council could direct us to move forward with that particular recommendation and put our best foot forward using that property. You could choose and say, well, let's have a conversation and determine that the other one, this one right here, is the preferred property and direct us that way. Or you, of course, can direct us to evaluate it in another way. Needing to get this together and complete by Friday and put all the bells and whistles on it, we probably need some sort of direction at this point, and would stand for any questions that you have. I understand that's a brief down and dirty on the matter, but.
Kyle?
The property to the upper left-hand side, what size of property is that, and what size are they after?
Currently, they are looking for plus or minus 5 acres. There is a discussion that it could be, this entire property is approximately 50 plus, almost.
Basically 40 acres.
40 acres. That's a 40-acre property, and this.
And that currently has water?
Yeah, water is right here.
What's the size of the main feeding that?
Your Honor, I'd have to look into that.
Your Honor, sorry, answer that. Right.
See, Lander, as wonderful as Lander is, their water capabilities, they don't have any.
That is a 12-inch main PVC pipe.
That ought to cut it.
I think that'll be adequate.
And the north-south pipe is 6-inch cast iron pipe. So the 12-inch main would adequately serve the facility.
Oh, yeah. Do we have natural gas close to that, or and electricity and all the, those amenable things?
There is natural gas through College View and up to Dr. Hunani's clinic here, as well as electric. So yes, it's very close.
Cool.
So that's College View, that's the Help for Health.
Yeah.
Help for Health, Dr. Hunani's clinic, and then the hospital.
Legion Field.
We need to move on that.
I would think that makes the most sense. I mean, compared to the other, I work right near the other spot there. I walk right by the high school every day or drive by the high school every day to get to work, and that gets busy, especially when school is in session, and that intersection there along Major and Sunset. And there's a lot of weird topographical things there as well, where you've got it kind of drop off there in that other area. I can see where there's the concern about the topography there. I think the other one does make a lot more sense on that end of things. And if you're thinking about people wanting a place where they can, rest and not have crazy high school students, or, well, I guess not high school students, middle school students, and maybe they're not as crazy, but.
Just that close.
Mike?
Your Honor, again, I think, a big compliment needs to go out to the Reach Foundation, which, as I think we all know, has done an amazing job in serving the elderly and retired community in Riverton. And again, they've done very well, and they've accumulated these properties over time, and they've been always very generous to the community. And they actually said anywhere from 5 to 8 acres they would be willing to donate to this facility. So even if this facility comes in and needs 6 or 7, they're good with that. And so I think, to me, this is the obvious choice. They stepped up, they own the property, they could sign it over to us tomorrow if that's what they wanted to do, if we needed that done. And I think, again, this will be a great addition to that area. It fits in with the other related businesses. It's all medical-related type stuff right up in that area. And so, again, I think that's the obvious place to have that offered for that VA facility. And I would move for that if that's the appropriate.
Could I bring up the other sites that are available? I just want to, could you show us the Audi property? That's at, the corner of Monroe and South Federal.
There has been,
So
Just
Mrs. Audi did call me several weeks ago and say that if it worked out, they would be glad to donate that piece of ground for that facility. Okay? And so there's that piece of ground, and then Lynn McAuliffe was at the meeting today and said that there was a piece of ground at the business park, the CWC Business Park, that might be available. Okay, which is really, very close to the one we're looking at right now. It's you can kind of see it there at the top of the screen below the green line. There's basically five lots there that you could put together and put something in there. The piece of ground right below the blue is what the college is proposing for their equine facility. And so some of that there might be room on that piece of ground too. But the concern that we have is that by Friday noon, we don't have any opportunity to actually get a commitment on that. And likewise, the Kmart building, would be months away on a negotiation to try to figure out how to make that work. And then I guess you'd have to point out that the idea behind this facility is that it's going to be a greenhouse style living facility where typically those are pods where maybe there's 4 or 5 residents in a pod, and they kind of live together and share as much as they can with the duties of keeping it up and working together. It kind of creates a family situation. They take their meals together and that type of thing, rather than a large institutional setting. And I think that if you looked at the Kmart building, you'd be looking at a very institutional kind of thing. And so that probably that's why none of us gave that any thought early on as a possible site, was simply because of what we had learned about the greenhouse construction methodology, and I think that's probably still there. My thought is that if we don't give them a piece of raw land in a fairly good place that's pretty easy to work with, they're not going to be too excited. So You don't know what you're up against in other communities. I know Lander's got some land that they're willing to donate, and it would surprise me greatly if there's not space next to the veterans home in Buffalo that the state of Wyoming already owns. So I think anybody that has to buy anything is going to be out of luck. And then, it just seems to me close to the medical facilities and that type of thing is a logical connection. So, and this is a piece of pretty high, dry ground. It should be pretty easy to build on, right?
Correct.
No, don't have to drive pilings down 40 feet or anything like that.
It would be doubtful that there would be any expansive clays up there. That's the wonderful part about that region of the town. Sand and gravel.
Yeah, so pretty good site to build on. So when we say what is the best site, there's a lot of criteria, and I'm sure that there are folks in the community that think that if we, did our homework, we'd be able to maybe pick some particular piece of ground that was really good, but this site right here is pretty adequate for our purposes, and I think it's as saleable as anything that we've gotten in Riverton. So, given the time crunch, Mike's motion was?
I would move that the city move forward in approving or writing a letter of support or whatever the appropriate term would be in support of the piece of ground up off of Gasser Road in College View as our application for the VA facility.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on that?
Oh, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Mike, I think you need to amend that to allow the city to put in whatever needed to accommodate that piece of ground. In other words, 5 acres to 7 or whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
needed.
whatever, I think we leave it vague at this point, but as long as we have the appropriate amount of ground, and we'd be good.
Your Honor, what we'll try to present is that we've talked about 5 acres, but we can point out during that, when we put our best foot forward there, that that availability exists for them. And I think that's a positive thing, so we'll make sure they know that.
Okay. So, any other discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Looks like that passes, Tony.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing else.
Okay. Mayor's comments. Well, that was an interesting meeting today. It was probably more interesting for the information that we didn't get than it was for the information that we did get, and so there's kind of it's a little, our task here is a little difficult because they haven't been really forthright, I don't think, in saying what their criteria are going to be on making their decision. And so we'll just send them a letter and let them know what we've got. And they did visit the site today, I guess, so they've seen that physically, been present at the site and seen what was available around it and that type of thing. So I was a little confused today. One guy says that we're talking about sites, and somebody else is talking about communities, and I'm not just exactly sure where they're at in the process, but they're trying to follow this guidance that's been laid down by the state legislature on siting state facilities. And so they're doing a level 1 and a level 2 study in jig time so that they can get a report to legislative committees at the appropriate moment so that this will be able to move through in the coming legislative session in January. And so they've got a tight timeline to work with, and if they don't get that done, then it'll be a year from now before they can actually propose it. and they're looking at a window with the federal granting process. So while there's a lot of money on the table right now, that may change. Nobody knows what next year's budget will look like and that type of thing. And so they really feel like now is when the opportunity presents itself. The federal government would pay 65% of the construction cost. The state of Wyoming would pay 35% of the construction cost. And so this land being donated to that could be used as part of the match for that 35%. And would make it a bigger building, more beds. And that's what they're after, is to see how many veterans they could serve for the amount of money that they think that they've got available. So they do have a budget that they have to work with. So I think that's a good thing, and I know staff will send them a really nice letter, and we'll absolutely put our best face on it, so that we'll stand every chance we can get. And the other communities that are in the running, Cheyenne, Laramie, Casper, Sheridan, Buffalo, Gillette, Lander, and Riverton. So most of it's east. Okay. So thanks again, Holly. We appreciate your service. Maybe you'll find yourself in a different position in some other area of the country where you'll be able to do the same thing again and experience.
That'll work.
Okay. All right. So I guess that's my thoughts. So I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? At 8:07.